What if I told you that for over 30 years, the United States Marine Corps was sent to invade, occupy, and fight in Central America and the Caribbean, not for freedom, not for democracy, but to protect the profits of American banana companies? This is the story of the Banana Wars, one of the most controversial and least taught chapters in American military history. From 1898 to 1934, U.S. Marines landed again and again in countries like Honduras, Nicaragua, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. The enemy: local revolutionaries, peasants, and governments that dared to stand up to powerful fruit corporations like the United Fruit Company. Today, we are uncovering how bananas shaped American foreign policy, created the term Banana Republic, and led one of the most decorated Marines in history to call himself a racketeer for capitalism. This is the raw, uncomfortable truth behind the Banana Wars, the rise of the banana empire. At the end of the 19th century, America was becoming a global power. After winning the Spanish-American War in 1898, the U.S. gained new territories and influence. But it was bananas, yes, bananas, that drove much of the action in Latin America. Companies like the United Fruit Company, now Chiquita, and Standard Fruit bought enormous amounts of cheap land in Central America. They built their own railroads, ports, and even entire towns. They controlled not just the fruit, but the economies of entire countries. These companies paid very little in taxes and often treated local workers poorly. When governments tried to raise taxes, pass labor laws, or support local farmers, the companies complained to Washington. And Washington listened. President Theodore Roosevelt's big stick policy and the Roosevelt corollary to the Monroe Doctrine gave the U.S. the perfect excuse. We will intervene to maintain stability and protect American interests. In reality, stability meant keeping governments friendly to American business. The Marines become corporate muscle. The United States Marine Corps became the main tool for these interventions. They were fast, tough, and perfect for small wars in tropical jungles. Here are some of the key examples. Honduras, the classic banana republic. U.S. troops intervened in 1903, 1907, 1911, 1912, 1919, 1924, and 1925, often to protect United Fruit and Standard Fruit plantations during revolutions or strikes. In 1911, the company even helped fund a coup to install a more friendly president. Nicaragua, Marines occupied the country multiple times, especially from 1912 to 1933. They fought against rebel leader Augusto Sandino, who became a hero for resisting American occupation. The fighting was brutal: jungle ambushes, guerrilla warfare. Haiti, 1915 to 1934. U.S. Marines occupied Haiti for nearly 20 years. They took control of the country's finances, rewrote its constitution to allow foreign land ownership, and crushed resistance. Thousands of Haitians died during the occupation. Another long occupation where Marines ran the country while protecting sugar and other interests. Marines developed the famous Small Wars manual from these experiences, a guide still studied today for counterinsurgency. No story of the Banana Wars is complete without Major General Smedley Butler, one of the most decorated Marines ever, with 2 Medals of Honor. Butler fought in the Philippines, China, Mexico, and across the Banana Wars in Central America and Haiti. He led assaults, commanded occupations, and enforced American business interests for decades. But after retiring in 1931, Butler had a dramatic change of heart. In his famous 1935 book War is a Racket, he wrote, "I spent 33 years and 4 months in active military service, and during that period, I spent most of my time being a high-class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street and for the bankers. In short, I was a racketeer, a gangster for capitalism." He listed countries he helped make safe for American companies: Haiti and Cuba for banks, Nicaragua for Brown Brothers, and more. His words shocked America and made him a hero to anti-war activists. Why were these wars mostly forgotten? Like many uncomfortable chapters, the Banana Wars are rarely taught in detail. Reasons include: they were small wars compared to World War I and II. They exposed raw economic imperialism at a time when America preferred to see itself as a force for good. The term Banana Republic became a joke instead of a serious critique of foreign policy. Yet their impact is huge. These interventions created lasting resentment in Latin America. They trained Marines in guerrilla warfare tactics used in later wars. And they set the pattern for future U.S. involvement in the region. Throughout the 20th century, in 1933 to 1934, President Franklin D. Roosevelt introduced the Good Neighbor policy, promising to stop military interventions and treat Latin America with more respect. The occupations gradually ended, but the economic influence of American companies continued for decades. The Banana Wars show a simple but harsh truth. Throughout history, powerful nations have often used their military to protect the interests of their corporations. Bananas weren't just fruit, they were big business. And business sometimes came before sovereignty or human rights. Today, when we see foreign policy debates about protecting American interests abroad, it's worth remembering these wars, because the playbook hasn't always changed that much. If this hidden chapter of history surprised you, hit like. Leave a comment with which part shocked you the most, and share this video. What other forgotten wars or corporate influences on military history should I cover next? Tell me in the comments. Subscribe for more deep, honest dives into history that textbooks often skip. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the real story is hidden behind something as simple as a banana.